Now, good evening. That is a greeting, of course. Pigeon greeting from Nigeria. We promised you that every time, every night on Thursdays, we would try to find that unique greeting that is spoken in other parts of the continent. We are for Africa. This is African football. Definitely welcoming you wherever you are to yet another exciting show. So much to speak about as far as the beautiful game is concerned on the African continent. Yes, we also saw what happened with the FIFA Awards. Eto'o has something to say about that. This is just the topics that we're going to discuss tonight. Definitely looking into the controversies that were surrounding these awards all the time. When the awards, you always feel that a certain player was missed. Of course, Cameroon appointing another European coach. Coaches are here. They will tell us what their thoughts about regarding this kind of, I can say, this inclination about European coaches. We'll hear what the gentlemen in studio have to say. South Africa squad to face Mali being announced, of course, by the coach, Moleke Nseke, and, of course, other stories that are lined up in terms of what we are going to discuss tonight. It is hashtag FRUN Football. We want to hear from you. Engage with us. Questions, you can pose them to us. The guys are here in studio. My name is Elasto Capoeja, driving the show, but I can never be alone. I am with some gentlemen that definitely know a lot more about football than I do. That is why I call them every Thursday to be in your midst. It is Velile Mnyandu, award-winning journalist, of course. Greg Itafia is here in studio, representing, flying that flag very, very high as far as Nigeria is concerned. Timothy Patabaire, all the way from Uganda, he's here in studio. But today we also got a special guest that has graced our occasion. That is former AmaZulu coach, Cavin Johnson. Coach, good evening. Welcome to the show. The guys are here. They are ready. But especially for you to have come and spend this hour with us, we are very, very happy to have you.
No, Elasto, it is a privilege and an honor to be sitting with guys like yourself, Mr. Batabaya.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thanks, Coach Raker.
Yeah.
My good friend on my left-hand side,
Yes.
Mr. Veli.
Mm-hmm. No, thanks, Coach, for coming. And maybe we know that recently you were at AmaZulu, being the head coach there for quite some time. Right now, you are relaxed. Not so much pressure of who's going to play this weekend and so forth. How has the time been spending with your family at home? Are you missing football already? Or maybe sometimes you are just taking this period to just catch up with the family?
Yeah, Elasto, football is never out of your blood.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you have it, you have it.
Yes.
It's like, I might say the wrong thing now, but it's like having sugar diabetes. You have it for the rest of your life. And when you have the football disease, you have it for the rest of the life.
Yeah.
And as we sit in the room, I think we're all going to die of football.
Wow.
So for me, taking a break,
Yes.
spending time with the family, it's been a long time.
Yes.
And, you got to get used to everything back home again. But football is never out of your head.
Yeah.
You drive the car and you look at it and you say, you know what, this guy should have drove left instead of right, and if I were him, I'd have pressed the brakes. But it's all to do with football. And that's why it's a beautiful game, because you can relate everything in your life to football.
Yeah, it's difficult to be removed from the game. I think it's 24/7 with a lot of football that is happening even these days. It is difficult, and as a coach who wants to see what is happening, certain ways, certain trends. I'm sure you always have a keen eye on what is happening. But again, it should be important for the coach to make sure that he utilizes this time with his family before he gets another job. We know very soon he'll be back at the fold. Gentlemen, we also the FIFA Awards really happening. Maybe from an African perspective, we might not have been happy to see the likes of Sadio Mane, the likes of Mo Salah, not being anywhere near the top three. I just want to hear your thoughts. Of course, Eto'o not happy and really saying that, look, for me, the only players that were supposed to be number 1 and 2 is either Sadio Mane or Mo Salah. Velile, is it because he's African he's saying that? Or if you look at the facts and the performance, definitely they support such kind of a statement.
Greetings. Good to have you here, Coach. But you know, we had this conversation.
Yes,
before, and it was about Eto'o, and we did say that it starts with Africans.
Yeah.
You know, you look at that list from the coaches to the captains, and you know, I'm proud to say our national team captain voted Sadio Mane, Salah, and Hazard.
Yeah.
You know, and you look at the voting patterns of Messi,
Yeah.
Sadio Mane. You look at Hazard, Sadio Mane. But it starts with us. Before we must complain about the rest of the world, there are national team coaches coming from Africa, captains. The media, you know, and who do they vote for? And we're not saying no just because you're an African, vote for another African. But who deserves it? You know,
at that moment.
Exactly. So before we can blame anyone else, and this is what happened also with Eto'o. He was in the top 3, and some of the decisive votes were votes from this continent, and especially us media.
It's true.
Because the media is also voting there.
Yes.
And you look, you know. Unfortunately, I'm saying these things because I've voted, but I was voting for women's football previously. My last vote was for last year. You know, so this is where you find this thing that sometimes as Africans we complain about these things, but we're party to them. You know? And that's why for me, and I had this even from last week to say, as much as yes we watch and we appreciate what we see from outside, but let's appreciate our own first, because we are the disseminators of information, and if we don't promote our own, then who's going to promote it for us?
It's true.
If we don't promote our own, who is going to promote them for us? Greg Itafia, okay, I hear what Virile is saying, isn't it? But again, I want to come to this point of the facts themselves. Looking at the performance of the players, because we are not talking from a position of just because we are African. We are talking from a position where we are saying, but if you look at the performances, Mo Salah, Sadio Mane winning the UEFA Champions League, helping Liverpool amass 97 points, I mean the best they've ever been, and the fact that they are from this beautiful warm continent seems to always work against them. You look at Eto'o as well. What does it take for Africa to be recognized? Yes, he's mentioned that as Africans, we need also to promote our own. But is there more that could be done to make sure that, yes, indeed, these players that are performing at this global arena are really doing very well, but still FIFA seems to overlook them?
Good evening, Elasto, colleagues, and Coach. You are highly welcome, Coach. He's going to get heated in this place soon.
You're wearing a big jacket.
But the aircon is on.
The aircon will put it on.
But anyway, Elasto, coming to your question, it's I feel like, first of all, we said this last week we spoke about,
before the awards.
We spoke
we
about.
thought they could hear us, but they unfortunately
they
never heard us.
The clubs you play, we spoke about it. There's 2 clubs you play in the world that give you that edge too. Madrid and Barcelona. If you play there, or you play against them. We're talking about the Senegalese player, which he played for PSG, Everton. Nobody recognized him when he played against Madrid. Everyone's saying that how's this guy, So, but anyway, we still have our colleagues. In terms of the captains, you have Ayew voting for other, European player, which is Messi. Ayew, particular, you have Aubameyang. But anyway, it's unfortunate part is voting, because it's voting. So, and when you vote, some people have their preference, who they want to vote for. But I just feel like, it's just very unfortunate. It started with Eto'o, even
but
Jose
the issue is that people, they are prepared to vote for VVD, the defender, but then when they want attackers, they go to Messi and Ronaldo. Why can't they take the attackers who are in the same Liverpool team? And the coach of the season also is their coach.
So anyway, as I'm saying, in terms of Eto'o deserve it. He was in the top 3. He never won it, and we never. For now, the only 2 people that could have come closer is Mane and Salah. Because of the Champions League, because of the AFCON, Mane, got to the final, but Salah was the closest one. Mane even is not closer because Salah got 26.
No, but there's no Mohamed Salah without Mane.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say, in terms of the voting wise, Salah he has 26 votes.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's
and also this is not a club award.
Yeah.
You know, so and you have got to take into recognition the national team performance.
You see,
if you talk of Sadio Mane, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know, Tim. Just to chip in there.
Yeah.
Looking at this issue, that of course an outrage from us Africans.
Yeah.
And that division that you see on the African continent. If you talk of the votes, even when you talk about a presidential candidate, you talk about a World Cup bidding. Be it a Morocco, be it a Tokyo Sokwale who wants to be FIFA president.
Yeah.
You can see those divisions within the African continent. They would rather vote for another nation, another candidate who is not their own. But talking about football, would you say that the two were undeserving?
No, they are deserving, and that's
no, Timothy.
No,
Yeah?
You mean
Are you saying they don't deserve?
You see,
Messi or Ronaldo?
you see a tough
No.
It's not about Messi or Ronaldo.
Talk about Sadio and Salah.
No, it's about Messi and Ronaldo.
The question is,
No.
if I talk about Mo Salah,
Yeah.
Okay, no, yeah, now you're talking.
and Sadio Mane,
I was thinking you're talking about Ronaldo
that
and Messi.
as it stands right now, they were not in those top three. Is that, I want you to be as neutral as you can, because I know you're one of those that are neutral.
Yeah.
At times when you talk about African football,
Yeah.
do you think that is just too much noise coming from the continent, that they were supposed to be winners, or at least number 1 and 2?
Honestly speaking, I think they have to be mentioned in that category, 1 or 2. But it was even very disappointing that they were not mentioned even in the top 3. I think that's very disappointing. But for me, it gets back to democracy. I've always told people democracy is separation of the minority. So you have Mohamed Salah and the likes of Sadio Mane being the minority. So they are being
Minority in what?
In
case?
which way?
in the votes, because democracy is about the majority.
No. We're talking about 54
but if you talk about
African football nations.
That's what I'm saying.
Talk about Africa.
54
Let's not forget
members.
that you've got a national team coach. Let me give an example. Baxter.
Yeah.
Baxter.
And Baxter didn't
not
vote for any
African.
African.
No, you understand. So,
Baxter voted for Europeans
and
only.
he has to vote according to his conscience. So he's not going to represent your Africa priority. He's going to represent according to what he believes. It's no longer about the continent. It's about his perception of who is the best. Now, we are looking at players. We have got a liking of a certain player. He may be even off color during a particular campaign, but you still have an inclination towards that player, and that's why we have constantly the mention of Messi and Ronaldo. They always come up, and even we had Ronaldo trying to blow his trumpet that he deserves it more than Messi and everything like that. That is his campaign team to try to draw that. In Africa, we are quite different. We are having the issue of Egypt right now. Their voting button was screwed up. Because now the secretary didn't sign, so they are complaining. They are complaining that their vote didn't go to Mohamed Salah. It was conflicted, but it's simply because that you are meant to write in small letters or writing in capital letters, so your vote is invalid. Now you want to blame something else. So we have a problem in that regard.
All right, Coach, I want to bring you here now. Looking at or this voting system, Coach. Now looking at the players themselves. Is it a true reflection when now we democratize this process by way of voting? Where is there another way, Coach, that we can select who is the best player? Any award for that matter, because now we are talking about the voting system to select best players. Is there another way, or maybe we should just come to terms that unfortunately, it is democracy. If so many people vote against a certain player, we just have to take it. But I'm sure you agree that our African brothers, Sadio Mane and Mo Salah, definitely, Coach, they're the season to remember.
Elasto, as a football person,
yes,
if I had the power to be able to do these things, I wouldn't do it at all. Yes. I don't think that football should have a player that's classified as the best in the world. That's my only opinion. Okay. As a team, it's a team sport. Therefore, I will always praise the team.
Yes.
Because I don't see why you should take out a goalkeeper like Gregor Tathia and say he's the best in South Africa. When his team, Highlands Park, are winning the league, they're the best,
Yes.
not him.
That's true.
So in world football, and this goes back, Timothy,
Yes.
it's like you say, democracy. This is where the divide and rule outside of the four lines comes into place. And this is what is created all along the line. But when I look back, and we mentioned Mo Salah and Sadio Mane, fantastic players, fantastic individuals. They need all the accolades that we can give them as Africans. But when you look back, George Weah,
Yes. Yes.
Sunday Olise,
Yep.
Eto'o himself,
Mm-hmm.
JJ Okocha,
Yes.
those were fantastic players. And they never got recognition. Finidi George, one of the best wingers I've ever seen in my life. You understand what I'm saying? So to give accolades to individuals, it's an opinion that has become a norm for me, which is not a norm. Why has it not become a norm? Because the social media and the information that is being given out on individual players is so much now that in itself will sway your voting rights. For example, I know exactly what Lionel Messi, what Cristiano Ronaldo does from 8 a.m. till 7 p.m. every day. That is what social media is giving us. We can see what professionalism is. And I give him all the thumbs up for that. But we don't know what Sadio Mane is doing. We don't know what we just see them as fantastic players. But you see what I'm saying? And that in its own will sway whoever's looking and say, no. You know what, we want to see what the best strikers are doing in the world. They don't go and do Sadio Mane.
No.
They type in Cristiano Ronaldo because he's in your face all the time.
All the time. Okay.
So whoever you are, he's in your face. And that is a lot to do with where it's going.
It's true.
But like I say, my personal opinion, I would scrap all these things because it just creates an environment whereby we now looking African continent versus European continent.
It's true.
It's not football. It's not football for me because Sadio Mane for me is way. He's at a different league completely.
Yes.
We haven't had a player of his caliber, a player of Mo Salah's caliber on the African continent for a long time.
It's true.
Like Samuel Eto'o has retired 2 years ago, but no one has taken his place.
It's true.
And now we have Sadio Mane and we have Mo Salah. And I really appreciate watching those players play. I really appreciate seeing them on the pitch. But they're not in our faces all the time. And maybe we should blame the African continent for saying, guys, you write so much. Give us what this man is doing. Why is he so good?
One of them is seated next to you, Velile Munyandu. The coach is saying, write more about Mo Salah.
No. The coach is echoing what we were saying last week.
Yes.
But, what was more disappointing for me, at least this one is the top 3, it's tight. And because the World 11 is voted for by the players themselves. Not to see a single one of them, even in the World 11.
That you can see, there's something in the, something biased there.
All right, I
Ramos is playing right back in the World 11.
No,
come on. There's no way Barcelona can be in that team.
Yeah, if you look at that again, I think it poses all problems. I mean, just to concur to what the coach is saying, because if you look at individual awards, I mean, the word itself, the description, individual awards in a team sport, that already causes already because an individual is as good as his team, isn't it? So at times you say that if Lionel Messi was playing in a team that doesn't win titles, he will still be Lionel Messi, isn't it? There are so many good players that are playing for teams.
Do you know when these players get to vote for World 11?
No.
And this one is even more embarrassing.
Yes.
It's when they are in the national team camp.
You see now. So you can see there's just so much other outside influence.
Now,
have
this picture of a Bafana player filling up that thing full of Europeans and South Americans.
I think voting should be confined to the parliament, to elections, electing government. But when you vote now in these awards, that's why we're having this. Tell us what you think. It is a hashtag FRUN football. We want to hear from you. Of course, this is African football. But Greg, do you think there's a little bit of a conspiracy when it comes to Lionel Messi? That again looks like, of course, there've been these, discrepancies that Timothy spoke about. Would it made a difference? If Egypt or the votes were fair.
For me, okay, take away Sadio Mane and Salah.
They're saying even Sudan voted for
take
Salah
those
and
two
Mane.
votes. Put those two votes.
Still,
Messi have 46.
It wouldn't make a difference.
Messi have 46 votes. And the next one was Van Dijk have 38.
Yes.
There's no, you take that two, put that two together for Van Dijk. There's no difference. So already you can see people love Messi so much. As what coach say, Messi and Ronaldo, they are the shining light in terms of football now. Even the youngsters, our kids, they grow up, they want to put Messi at the back, they want to put Ronaldo. We have the likes of Mane and Salah that are doing well, but there's no that you can see them because once I understand for the judgment in terms of the last 2 years, the performance, the Champions League and the AFCON and the national team. Okay, Senegal never get out for the group stage because of the cards and all those things. But at the same time, Sadio Mane as an individual, he really pushed Senegal to where they are. But I just feel like one of them should have been in that top three. That's the only thing. But winning it in terms of voting wise, I don't think they're gonna beat Ronaldo and Messi because, as coach said, they have more followers in anywhere, in anything. So
okay,
that's
wrap it up, Timothy. Wrap it up.
When you look at Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah, we're looking at the Champions League. Then you're getting into Messi. They are telling he has won the league title. He has won the Super Cup. And if you look at the return on goal ratio, then the assists or everything like that, you'll find that in that analysis, it drops, the likes of Mohamed Salah and Mane. So you're looking at
not the current season that just finished. Even in terms of the performance of this Champions League, league-wise, Messi never did a lot more than Mo Salah and Mane. Ronaldo, you can say, he went to Juventus, went to other country, he did very well, he went to other environment and still proved himself, which is good. And when Portugal won the European, what they call it now, he did well. He did well.
Don't tell us history.
No, I'm putting together. He's talking about Messi within now Champions League and the AFCON and Copa America in terms of, I think Mane is ahead of.
All right.
Of Messi.
We can also conduct a vote here. I can tell you it will be divided. All right, gentlemen. Now, Coach, looking at coach's appointment, we've got a new coach that has been appointed by Cameroon, Tony Conceição. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it well. He's Portuguese, of course. We saw at the Nations Cup, AFCON, Clarence Seedorf, Patrick Kluivert coaching Cameroon. We saw when they won it in 2017, it was Belgian Hugo Bruce who was coaching the team. The same again to be, going after European coaches. This one, I tried to do a research. Who is this coach? Is he coached on the continent? TP Mazembe there? Maybe not. I couldn't see anything. Yes, Cameroon. Cameroon, we know, 1990 is it when we, got to know that famous team at the World Cup.
Yeah.
How many years, how many moons ago? But still, they cannot have their own coach that they can entrust to take the indomitable Lions forward. They are still trusting European coaches. Your thoughts on nations like Cameroon that have been at the World Cup, on almost every occasion, but we still do not have trust on their own local coach who can steer the ship forward.
Lasto, I've been privileged to have studied in Brazil. The so-called world leaders as far as World Cups are concerned.
Yes.
And being there for quite a up and down every time. 4 months at a time.
Yes.
Studying football only.
Sure.
And being able to rub shoulders with Mario Zagallo.
Yes.
And Pereira himself. And one day we were sitting in a conversation like this, and Pereira told us, Nowhere in the world will a foreigner win in another country the World Cup. Or for anything in that matter. Maybe
Yes.
a local cup, yes.
But not the World Cup.
But if the nation does not develop their own, you'll never win it. I didn't believe him until he explained to us how he won 94.
Yes, 94, yes. In the USA.
And how the Brazilian people, be it football, be it politics, be it doctors, be it lawyers, how they were behind him to give him the best. Because why? He was a Brazilian.
Sure.
You understand?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's not about hiring someone who can take your team to the ABSA Premiership.
Yeah.
No, it's about hiring someone that's going to take your country because he bleeds African blood. He knows the culture of that particular country. He's indebted to that country
Yes.
because
Yes.
his life is coming from there. So therefore, everybody who's in that country will give them. And if he says, I need 5 doctors, they will give him 5 doctors. If he needs 7 fitness trainers, he will get 7 fitness trainers. And that is what makes the national team coach more powerful than anything else. And that is why it's important for the country to be behind him, and not football loving people. Football loving people is only part of it. Is how hard or how best or why do we want to win AFCON? Example, why does South Africa want to win AFCON?
Yes.
We want to win AFCON because we want to play in the World Cup.
Yes.
And when we play in the World Cup, we want to win the World Cup.
Yes.
At least some African team has to win the World Cup.
Yeah.
What do we put in place to make sure
That's
that the man in charge is going to get everything,
Support.
all the tools, the support behind him to win that trophy? I mean, simple. And a simple example, and it's not maybe not a good example, Alasto, but
Yes.
have you seen what Manchester City's backroom staff look like? Did you see when they came
Over
out
60.
last year? Last year when they won the
Yes,
Champions
we saw
League?
them lined
Over
up.
They got the 30 players,
Yes.
the 35 players. They came out, they
Yeah.
took their medals,
Yeah.
and then what did Pep do? Pep put the players aside and he said, "Come guys,
Yes.
let's
Yes.
show them what this machine, how this machine is run." And you say, Greg, it looked like 60 people.
Over 60, yeah.
Yeah.
The same with Bayern Munich.
Yes.
And that is what you need to drive a national team.
Yeah.
One man is not going to do it.
Never.
Yeah.
One man is not going. You cannot put all the blame on Mulife.
No.
There you are. The coach is saying that one man cannot be overburdened with trying to steer the ship of the country forward. It takes more than one man, Craig. We are talking about Cameroon. We are talking about this Portuguese coach that we know little about. We don't even know what criteria is being used to select some of these coaches. We know last time Cameroon, when they were looking for a coach before
physically
Hugo
fit.
Bruce, they wanted a physical fit coach. We don't understand what that means. Somebody who would speak their language, French, and all those requirements that they would put before appointing a coach. But I think for us, Craig, we are just lamenting the fact that for a country that so long has been playing at the highest level, why would they not develop their own coaches and still rely on European coaches? And now they've just had 2 European coaches. According to them, failed dismally. That is Sudorf, of course, and Kluivert. Your thoughts? I know your own nation, Nigeria. He has got a foreign coach at the moment. I'm not sure whether you're happy or not about it.
Who has been coaching in Africa?
Yes,
at
least he's got time. He has coached, yes, in Africa. But again, is it not time that countries that have appeared at the World Cup on more than 2-3 occasions, in the same way the football is developing, coaches as well coming from those countries surely are also developed?
That's so sorry. Before I answer your question, I just have something to add in with Coach. Because Coach, I don't know, because maybe in Africa, I don't know. You see, because you compare the European with Pereira, you know, where you guys are there talking about. I think mostly in Africa, we don't support each other. My opinion, I feel so. If when you're in the national team, or when you're in the club side, wherever you
elaborate that support.
I think support.
We need support.
What I'm trying to say. In the national team, in terms of support, the association, there's some people that they want their own people because everyone has their own opinion of who is in the coach national team. And okay, for instance, they give someone else. They give Mr. Billy now. I feel okay.
You are so right, my friend. You could not have said it better. I'm telling you why. It's because I'm always looking at what you are driving.
Yeah.
Yes.
How about?
Yeah.
No. National team coach.
Yeah.
Yes.
Must get the Datsun. Must get the 1400.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because these people are. If you develop someone like that, they must be gods.
Yeah.
And you must appreciate them.
Yeah.
You must appreciate for what they are.
Yeah.
And that's why you find players that have played at the highest level will not coach in their countries.
Yeah. You know, the biggest challenge we have a development deficit on the African continent. Administratively, we are lacking. Most African countries, we are always rushing for the top instead of the bottom up. We go for the top, you know, and then bottom up. So we are always trying to sort of buy success instead of building success, and that has been our greatest downfall.
Yeah, in fact, I think when it comes to this one, I spoke to some colleagues from Cameroon, and they were adamant that there's no local coach in Cameroon that can coach the Cameroon national team. You see, it's different with us because we've got a strong league, and we've got coaches here.
Equipped, you know?
Yes. And when I look at what happened, especially from this recent AFCON, remember the AFCON before this, there were only 3 African coaches. The AFCON before this.
The 2017 one.
Yes. In this AFCON, I think we had about 10.
Yeah.
11
coaches.
Actually. Yes, 11
local coaches.
And if you look in North Africa currently, the president of Egypt, not the president of the FA, the president of Egypt,
the state president.
Yes, he forced Egypt to go for a local coach.
Yeah, now they've appointed
Hossam El Badri has just been confirmed. Algeria, Belmadi is the current champion. He's the local coach. In Tunisia, they've got a local coach.
And who was the runner-up?
Senegal.
Of the AFCON? It was Senegal.
You know, you look at some of the appointments that have happened after that. So we are moving, but the countries that are going back, your country has shortlisted 3 foreign coaches.
Yeah, but
no. But I'm also looking at vis-a-vis the state of local football.
Yeah, but
so
you see, even that there is no local coach. Actually, this is very interesting and embarrassing. These are local coaches who are thinking and claiming and declaring that they don't feel they are ready for the job.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that this thing goes back to one of the concerns I had. That, you know, when I was at the AFCON, as much as I was appreciating covering this AFCON, but part of me was saying, what is more important? The senior national team or a strong league? How are you going to develop strong football if you don't have a strong league? Because now it goes back to the point that you're talking about of leadership, administrative duties that are lacking in African football. So for me, I would say we need strong leagues.
Yeah. Let's to go back to your question. I mean,
all right.
You see, like with the coach,
quick one, Craig.
The coach Cameroon appoint. I think, you know, for me, I think they run out of option in terms of Patrick Nguboma was in the running.
No,
but
I think
but he was
no. Just because you're an ex-player.
No. There was no option. Okay, this one
we had a situation. We had a situation in Cairo where someone who was never even coached under 9. But he had the title of being a second coach.
The point, Craig.
Yeah.
The point. You know, when Cameroon says what Vele is saying, that we don't have anyone suitable
At home.
for this job,
Okay.
then it tells me something.
Oman
That's
Big.
what I'm saying.
Oman
No,
Big.
it tells me
Oman
something.
Big is the assistant.
Because what I'm saying,
to this
Greg,
head coach.
what I'm saying, if
Okay.
you look at the record, the history, if you look
Of
at the appointments of the Cameroon national team,
yes.
you would see that the focus has been so much.
Mexico.
Greg,
Sorry.
the focus has been so much on appointing foreign coaches,
Yeah.
neglecting
The local.
their own,
Yes.
because you have to develop coaches.
Yeah.
You have to develop.
You can't
You have
come
to
and
do-
tell us that
No.
Then you appoint.
in Cameroon that 5 times they've won the AFCON.
Yeah.
You tell me that they haven't earmarked certain coaches
and-
to be able to steer
And even
this
Patrick
team
Mboma,
forward.
Elasto.
Yeah,
Patrick
no, the
Mboma.
names.
Patrick
There's
Mboma
so many greats.
Was-
Cameroon players
Patrick-
that have played in Europe.
And
not
Pat-
only
And they're
local.
coaching.
And-
like Oman Big.
So why are they not coaching the national team? All right,
No,
I think this
Patrick
I want
Mboma
to-
was
I
encouraged
want-
by Almadi to
All
try
right.
to
No,
try
no, no.
to coach,
Besides that,
and now he's
gentlemen, I
he's
think
applying
for
to be a
us,
coach.
What I want you guys to just focus on
Yeah,
is
to-
a nation,
to-
is a country, and I think this goes on to every African country.
yeah.
That you cannot tell us that
don't-
you're
there's
not
no one
developing
in that
your
country.
own coaches, and you tell us after 20 years
There's-
that we still don't have a coach of
No,
our
no,
own.
no.
It comes
Then
to the lack of
something is wrong.
administration.
All right, let me ask. I just want to bring in the coach. Now, talking about coaches, of course, we've heard this word because now maybe that they are looking at that. I don't know if philosophy exists when you talk about the national team,
Yes, yeah, philosophy.
because we don't hear
That word.
as one of the criteria. Maybe it exists, but coach, what is philosophy? We normally hear about it on TV when the analysts are dressed nice. They say we don't understand the philosophy of this coach. Is there such thing as a coaching philosophy? And if it is there, what is Coach Cavin Johnson's philosophy?
Elasto, personally, in the modern day football, your philosophy can only be dictated by the type of player that you're coaching.
Yeah.
Amen.
Okay.
Because going through your coaching courses and going through different players that you play with
Yeah.
determines what you can do with that particular team. My own personal thing, myself as a coach, yes, because I'm African, I like to put the ball on the floor.
Okay.
I like to play from the back.
Yeah.
I like to play with wingers. I like to play in certain games with a striker that knows how to run the channels. I like to play with a striker that knows how to hold up the ball. I like to play with a number 10 that can score goals, that can make goals. I like to play with wingers that can come inside, with midfielders that can overlap
Yes.
on the outside or on the inside. But at the same time having strikers that can defend at the same moment.
Yeah.
So it's about in possession and out of possession. That determines your type of philosophy you have. But at the same time, you've got to understand what group of players you're working with at that moment, because it will always change your philosophy. It will always change your mentality towards winning and losing, because that's the bottom line is that's what it's all about. But as a coach, if I have a 5-year plan within a team, I will tell them, guys, this team has to play attractive football. What is attractive football? Attractive football is that you have possession of the ball all the time, and you're able to move the ball from one end of the field to the other end of the field and back and forth, and you're able to retrieve the ball the minute you lose the ball.
Yes.
And you're able to have players who are comfortable on making 10, 15 passes before losing the ball. So that's my own philosophy. That's what I like to see. Is I like to see me going onto the pitch against Greg Etathia, and the game has to be a chess match, or we know better in Africa, a draft match,
Yes.
or a marabaraba match.
That's good.
Because now you have to think.
Yeah.
If he moves his player there,
Yes.
where do I move my player?
Yeah.
If he has the ball with the left back,
Yeah.
what do I do with my team in that situation? And if he has a tendency of throwing the ball long, does he throw it high or does he throw it flat? So those are things that determine your philosophy on the day. But like I say, my philosophy is always to play with the ball, to display the talent, to have the players move on the pitch tactically, in a better way in order to hold the ball so that I can display what an African player is all about.
There you heard it. It is hashtag FRUN Football. Engage with us. The coach is here, of course. You heard about a little bit this philosophy of his. The ball on the floor as an African. That's what we want to see.
I remember that football because, sometimes people will say, Coach, but what has Cavin done? I remember that football. I was answering someone last week. I said, I remember that football with the Platinum Stars team that finished second to Chiefs.
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was a mixed team of experienced and also youth players. But it was difficult to get the ball from those balls.
Yeah, we played against them that season. We came third with goal difference.
Yeah, but sometimes you look
you
at...
were at Swallows at the
Yeah,
time.
that time we came
Yes,
third. They came
yes.
second. They went to Africa. I think they played Nigeria too. I don't know.
But not looking as... Not only looking at the teams that is coached, I think a philosophy as well, coach. Also, players, it brings certain players. You would see, even if they go and play elsewhere, you see that they are coming from a certain
setup,
kind of football that they were accustomed to. And I'm sure some of the players that have come through your hands, we can still see them.
For me, he has said something that is very profound. It is based on not a 1-year plan, not a 2-year plan.
Yeah.
It's a systematic long plan.
Yeah,
so,
I
and
hope
then we have a problem.
We have a problem
of
these days. These chairmen don't have 1-year, 2-year plans. They've got 3-6 months plans.
And that's why most of them. And that's why
that is the problem.
And that's why all the time they are fighting.
Plans.
That's why all the time they are fighting relegation. All the time they are chopping and changing and never getting it right. There's no way you're gonna buy success.
All right,
you need to build
as
success.
We close on this one. This is what I'm telling you guys. These days in football, there are no more 1-year or 2-year plans. There are 3 and 6 months plans. Sometimes they give you 5 games. I don't know what they want you to achieve in 5 games. Anyway, that's the topic for another day. Gentlemen, let's look at Bafana. We want to hear from you, of course, who you are listening at home. Hashtag FRUN Football. This is African football. Now, it's Bafana that is preparing Velile to play against a very strong Mali side. Hopefully they'll come up strong like that. Of course, it is the Nelson Mandela Cup. The players have been announced by the coach. Your thoughts on the team and the preparations and what the coach is trying to achieve should be his first game. Hopefully this time around they get to play.
I think
hopefully they get to play.
Yeah, I think the challenges that we had, things are better now.
Okay.
Well, Coach Cavin was part of the coaches who came out, to try and diffuse the situation. But I think we've got a quality opposition. That Malian team. And in Cairo when we were there, we felt that they were very unfortunate not to proceed to the last 8, because they were one of the teams to have a good record in the group stages. If you remember. I felt that they were very, very unfortunate to be knocked out in the last 16. And Mali, they always produce good players from your under-17s and your under-20s, and you see the progression. They are one of the few nations that are a constant feature in all the group stage. In fact, the age category tournaments and even in the senior team as well. And I think for us, there will be a perfect preparation for our game against Ghana in the AFCON qualifiers the following month. My only disappointment, and hopefully maybe the FA is still going to disappoint me, is that because we have not played since July at the AFCON, and the coach being new as a head coach, due to the situation we had last month, missed out on having a competitive game. We only have one friendly match before. So I hope that the FA can try and help the coach here, because they report for camp on a Monday and move to P on Tuesday, and then they play on Sunday, and then that will be the only game that he's got. And he's got 2 crucial games against Ghana and Sudan. And he's got 23 players for this camp. and most of these players all have to get, because after this, the coach will have to, you will not have a chance to come up with excuses.
And the players haven't got their bonuses yet.
All right, no.
So I don't want to dwell much on. I don't want to dwell much on the team. Yeah, I don't want to dwell much on the team that has been selected because it's more like the team that was there and they didn't play. But I just hope that the FA can get him a second game.
All right, there you go. There you had it.
Why it's not possible?
Before, other countries, serious countries, they already play one friendly game. They're waiting for the main qualifiers. How you want us to play?
No. But we're talking about countries that played in the last international week.
Friendly game.
Yeah, friendly game. Yes.
So no one want to play apart from Mali.
No, you are lying, man.
No one want to play.
No.
People are
no. That is not true.
Countries are playing Brazil. They're playing Argentina.
No.
They are playing Brazil.
They are playing Brazil, but they are going to play on the African continent.
And I saw Daniel Pay. You are friend with Daniel Pay.
No.
Is he retired?
My disappointment.
Yeah, your disappointment.
Ngomeni, the keeper. Highlands Park.
No.
No, this is
he's conflicted. No. But can we discuss this?
Because the best.
What is the definition of current form?
No.
Your performance now.
There's a difference.
You to be
selected.
No.
There's a difference between club football.
Well. Everybody advocate for him to be in the national team.
See,
at that moment, he was the top goalkeeper in the country.
Yes.
Ngomeni, single-handedly, I can say that he took Highlands Park to the finals. I think
so. Who would you drop?
The vet keeper is injured. The vet keeper is injured.
Okay.
You cannot take injured player. You cannot take injured goalkeeper to go to a tournament.
I think for you who's listening, this is Greg Itafia
just
saying that his teammate, he feels that should be one of those.
This one is.
No, I'm not saying it for the current form.
No. We will not entertain. In fact, next week when they're playing the final, he must not come here.
So for me, when it comes to selection of the national team, I remember when I came to this country, we had the likes of Thabo Moki and Arthur Zwane, top players. But those players were very good for club. And they always failed to perform for the national team. Now you have got this situation where you always hear people making noise about this player should be in the national team, should be given a chance. I declare that the national team is not for trying and testing. The national team is well done to serve the meal. You go there for the result.
All right, it's not for trying and testing. Coach Cavin Johnson, your thoughts on the national team coach we had when Molife Ntsiki was appointed. There was a little bit of that doubt that came from some sections. But your thoughts on a local coach who has been in the fold of the national team for quite some time, doing so well when it comes to youth teams, and now really at the surprise of most people being appointed the coach for Bafana Bafana.
Yeah, I think in respect to Molife, he's cut his teeth at the bottom, the young ones, then the top ones.
Yes.
And sometimes there's certain coaches that are able to coach every 3 months, and in between they're able to study the game from a different level.
Yes.
And there's coaches like myself that you want to be on the pitch every day. You want to be on the pitch every day. You want to have that adrenaline run through you every day.
Okay.
And there's some people that watch outside and able to get the same feeling from watching their players play against each other in a different team environment. That for me, there's a fine line between those two, those type of coaches.
Okay.
But at the same time, like I said early on, we've got to give him all the support.
Yes. There you
and
go.
because we have so much avenues today in order to talk, in order to say what we want to say. We're all not going to be satisfied. But as an individual, I give him all my support. Who he picks, Timothy hit it on the head.
Yes.
The national team, the top team, is not for tried and test. It's the meal is there, you got to come and eat it. No
experimenting.
There's no experimenting. You cannot experiment. And even if he takes out one and puts in another one, the one he's putting in is not to experiment. It's he's going to do a better job than the other one. And when you are picked for the national team, you've got to do it with pride. You've got to do it with every single drop of blood in your body
Yes.
to say, you know what, whether I play or whether I don't play, I'm part of this 22 or I'm part of this 23. And like I say, like I always tell my players, you are paid to train. To play is a bonus.
Wow, you are paid
To train.
to train.
That's a good one.
To play it's a bonus. Now, coach, you might have touched on it because I was going to ask you this question. Why did you not apply for Bafana job? Or are there any plans in the future for you to become a Bafana coach?
Elasto, I think those positions are there to be headhunted. Exactly like the head coach of the Bafana team headhunts his players. So is that position headhunted within the surrounds of South African coaches?
Yeah.
So you the coach is saying that maybe you don't believe this thing of saying maybe the association, they say throw it out there, coaches apply for a job. You are saying that as an association they should go for the men that they feel should be the right man for the job.
Like I say, they should go for the man who they feel is the right man for the job, but like we've been arguing, he has to be local in order to build.
Yes.
And that is what's out there. For example, at the moment, who's the best coach in the PSL now? Who's doing the best with his team? No one can deny it. It's Pitso Mosimane.
Yes.
I can't take it away. You can't take it away from Pitso.
Yes.
You can't take it away from Pitso.
Yes.
But if I had to say what team is playing the best football, I can't take it away from Benny. Cape Town City is playing, for me, one of the best attractive footballs. You can watch them.
Wow.
There's I can see how I can beat Benny.
So coach,
Because Benny is playing a certain type of football.
I can plainly put it. You can see a team that is being coached and a team that is being trained.
Oh wow! All right, I know.
Okay. Maybe.
Yeah.
No.
No, can we understand it, Timothy?
Which teams are?
Yeah, I'm a bit slow today, Timothy. What? Yeah.
So what are you saying?
Trained?
There's a difference between a team that is being coached
For example?
and a team that is being trained.
No,
For example,
That one we shall leave it for
Yeah,
another
no,
day.
all right. This man is very philosophical. Okay, Velile, just to wrap it up on this topic discussion of Bafana. What would take Bafana to go to the next level? We would say that quarterfinal exit at AFCON, not a train smash. There is
an accident. It was an accident.
No.
not a train smash. Now we are coming now to, of course, the World Cup is around the corner. The qualifiers are going to start 2022. What next for Bafana? For them, Velile, to be in the same mode as your Super Eagles, as your Ghanas, as your Senegals of this world. What needs to be done?
Well, I think you must not put Bafana in the same mode as Ghana. Ghana has not won this AFCON in 37 years.
Okay, so Ghana out.
Put Nigeria.
But
Yeah.
Ghana,
Nigeria missed 2 AFCONs.
No,
before this
we
one.
won it not
So
quite long.
So
in this
but
land.
but look
I hear what
for
Velile said, yes. But you understand the point.
for a country that has only been in international football for less than 30 years, and been to 2 World Cups, qualifying for those World Cups,
Yes.
and also hosting. I just feel that I miss that Bafana of the first 10 years
Okay.
of our return to international football.
Yes.
Because I have not seen Bafana that would just go to Burkina Faso, go to Burundi. The worst result you're looking for there is a draw. You know?
And Vele, you can get back that Bafana, and
Yes.
I'll tell you how.
Yes, and there's just one another thing, because with this squad selection, people were asking, because they were saying they were expecting Coach Mlefi to transform this team. It's not going to be easy for him to do that now, because under 23 has got priority, and that is to qualify for the Olympics.
Yes.
So he will not have access to these players until after November, when we've seen that this team has qualified for Olympics. So I just feel that we need to do the basics right.
Okay.
And I've always maintained that our FA is very weak when it comes to technical matters.
Okay.
You know, and until we have people at the FA who are treating technical matters strongly. You talk about technical director. I don't see that. I work closely with national team coaches sometimes, and sometimes I feel that they're not receiving the support that they're supposed to receive.
Africa.
And I would like to see our 32 coaches in the PSL and the Great Africa Championship, the NFD, working closely with the national teams. I don't get that.
Yep,
I don't get that.
You see,
Because you see, we have a different senior national team compared to most of your West African countries. We have a different national team currently compared to your Senegal, your Ghana, your Nigeria, your Cameroon.
How is
your
it different? How is it different? Really?
The team is dominated by locally based players. The team is dominated by locally based players, including the starting lineup. So I would like to see that coordination between those in power.
Okay.
Those in power suffer in the PSL because as much as yes, the coaches talk, but also the coaches will take the cue from those above them.
For me,
Right,
for
Timothy, wrap it
you know,
up.
like I was saying, for Bafana,
Yeah.
there are certain simple things you spoke about missing the Bafana of the first 10 years. And I will tell you, you had so many players, Bafana players, who are not playing in Europe week in, week out, but they were always part and parcel of the European setup. So the training is still better than the PSL. If South Africa can encourage most of their players to go to Europe, it's going to transform, South African football, because especially the media, there is that chorus to that the PSL is the best league. I can tell you, it's the best well-run league, not football-wise, competitive-wise, and that one I can tell you. So if we can
technically, we're missing a lot of things.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's to strike a balance is very key. If you need to get the players to concentrate more on playing, to deliver on the field of play before the hype. You get players who are winning the AFCON, winning the games even before it's played, and that gets into the mindset of the players before the game is played. That's the difference between other African countries and South Africa. They have got the talent. If you get the skill, the applicability of players in South Africa, I can tell you, a South African player will run with the ball, but by the time they are being attacked, he's back in his position. The problem is how they use that skill that is theirs as South Africans to the advantage of the team.
All right. Thank you, Tim. It's a topic again that I can go on. Yes, Coach.
Can I
Coach
say
Edwin.
something?
Yes, please do.
I
Please do.
think Timothy-
You allow you to
And
say.
I think Valley says a lot.
Yeah.
I think they say, and if you put it together, then we can understand it. If you look at Nigeria, if you look at Ghana, if you look at Cameroon, I think our African brothers, their mothers, generations ago, I told them, my boy, grow up, play football. The world is an oyster. So that is why also one of the reasons why a lot of our African brothers are employing foreign coaches, because they think most of their players are playing in Europe. So when they call them back, they hire a foreign coach. It will be cheaper for them to instill urgency in them to play.
Yeah.
So then they just carry on the same training methods they get it in Europe, and then they get.
Yeah.
But the pride to play for your country comes from Etathio's land a lot. Most of the Nigerians play out, but when they play for Nigeria, there is something about that team that says, I am a Nigerian.
Yeah.
You
There you
understand?
go.
What? There's something about that team, and that is the same thing Eto'o instilled when he was playing for the Cameroonians.
Yeah.
There's something about that team who has said, I am a Nigerian. Veli alluded to this, that 10 years ago, I am a South African. Therefore, I play for South Africa. I'm not playing for what you said. Where's the money? You never paid us yet.
Yeah.
That is not a single, that is not
Excuse.
quoted.
Yeah.
That is not an excuse.
Yeah.
You put on that jersey for a reason.
Yeah.
Yes.
You put on that jersey to die. And like you say, you you see it sometimes in the national team.
Yeah.
You see it in their eyes.
Yeah.
You see it in their eyes.
All right, coach, I want to.
But you know, this point that I was mentioning earlier, I don't know what we're discussing, and I was repeating it because we need also a change of mindset in Africa, because sometimes we seem to dwell too much on the senior national team, and I repeat, what is more important? Which comes first?
It's the league.
Strong leagues. You know, yes, we want to see these players moving to Europe, but also at home. And look at this, especially there in West Africa. All these countries that have got senior national team that is doing well, but look at their local football. And then you're going to demand that they produce local coaches. Where are those local coaches going to coach?
All right. No, gentlemen, I just want to find out about the coach as well. Since it's here, we have to take advantage about the coach and just hear his thoughts about coaching. He knows it better, of course. And again, we want to involve you who's listening. It is hashtag FRUN football. This is African football, of course. Coach, now, when you talk about this trend about coaches not staying in a particular job for the length of time that a coach wants to make sure that he gets his things together, you know, the team and the planning and so forth. It's difficult these days to plan. So what is at the back of the mind of the coaches? Is a coach always thinking now about that sacking, being fired, or you are solely focused on your job, and when that gun is fired, by that time already you're like, look, but I've given it my best. What goes in the mind of a coach?
Okay. The famous world saying is that once you sign the contract, you fired yourself.
Yeah.
Sure.
But
Yes.
I always say that we work for football, and wherever I've worked, and I can only talk about myself as an individual.
Yes.
Wherever I've worked, I've given 120%, even more,
Yeah.
of my life to this game. And wherever I've worked, I've always thought I've always changed the mentality of the players that I've worked with.
Yes.
And I've always given them something to think about, whether they play for me or whether they play for someone else. I've always tried, and in South African football, yes, there are teams that will give you the opportunity to build,
Okay.
and there are teams that don't have the opportunity to even build. So those things said in South Africa, and I don't know if it's in Africa, but I know North Africa don't have those problems.
Yeah.
In South Africa, we have a lot of teams that don't have facilities,
Yeah.
Yes. True.
and that is one of the bases that allows the coach to come in and say, you know what do you have? I have 4 fields. I have a fully fledged gym. I have an ice bath that's next to me. You know, the normal that's
Yes.
close by.
Yeah.
We still using dead bins.
Does
Yes.
Rudimentary system.
yeah.
And if I have to give you an example, you spoke about the team that came second at Platinum Stars.
Yeah.
You know why that team came second?
No.
Facility.
We had the best
Everything was
facility
here.
in Africa.
In Africa, yes.
I say that in all respect to everybody else.
Yes.
We had the best facility in
Yeah.
Africa.
Yes. Your own facility.
My own facility. I had the opportunity of having 4 fields that I could choose on to train on only. I had a fully fledged modern gym. I had a pool. I had an ice bath that was built in. I had all those things at my disposal.
Yes.
So when I have the tools that I can compete with a European club, I mean, I had Hoffenheim there, I had Manchester City there. They said this is world class.
Yes. Sure.
If Manchester City did not steal some of those ideas and build their own facility,
There you go. Manchester City stealing. Some of
this
those
is
ideas.
what I
Yes.
understand. I had 2 full astroturf pitches that we could train on. So when I went to Africa, I didn't have to think, you know what,
Yes.
I'm going to play in Swaziland now. I'm going to play on AstroTurf. It's going to be hot. I need to have tackies or I need to have 6 stats.
You had it there.
I had it. I put them on AstroTurf for 3 days.
Yeah.
You go to Ivory Coast. We played on AstroTurf. They are acclimatized to those conditions. So we had that facility, and like I say,
It is very sad.
it is it is very important to have those things at your disposal as a coach, and then you can decide afterwards how we're going to build.
All right. And coach, lastly, on you, again, talking about the coaches in the PSL right now, we see a young coach who's at the helm of Orlando Pirates. Rulani, your thought on this young coach, really promising coach, really having a kind of a baptism of fire, put it that way, at the beginning. But one cannot read so much, isn't it, coach, in what is happening? Your thoughts on this coach?
My thoughts on Rolani is that probably the first coach to give Rolani an opportunity
Oh,
was
yes.
Cavin Johnson.
Yes, because you worked with him at
Platinum Stars.
Yes.
Rolani,
Yes.
Rolani was the under-19 coach, and
Yes.
we won the Platinum Stars. Happened to win something that took them to Germany. They won the under-19 league or something like that.
Yeah.
And I offered Rolani the opportunity to go to Germany and to see what's in Germany, and allowed. In fact, Rolani's team at that time played against Thiago Silva and them.
Wow.
Yeah, Messi didn't join the team because he wasn't there. But that's the team that Rolani's team played against. Out of that team, I think that Rolani had that day, I think a few of them played professional football. But the goalkeeper happened to get the man of the tournament, the goalkeeper of the tournament
Yes.
there.
Yes.
It was in Oldenburg or something like that in Germany. But as from then onwards, he always showed a lot of interest, a lot of enthusiasm. And for now, I take my hat off to Dr. Ivan Koza for giving him an opportunity to coach Orlando Pirates. It's not a small team.
Yes.
It's a major, major, major team. There's a lot of followers. It's got a rich history. And he's got to up his game. I wish him all the luck because I know he has the capabilities. Whether the club has the time, whether they have the opportunity to give him that, it's like a little house on fire, because you do know that they haven't emulated the triple that they've won
Yes.
in recent years from Ruud Krol. They haven't been able to emulate that, and that is what Orlando Pirates is. Orlando Pirates is Barcelona. It's Real Madrid. It's Manchester City. It's Chelsea. It's us. It's that type of product you're busy with. So as a coach, you must know that that's a product you're busy with. And if you're going to get time to build it, then so be it. But it's got to be...
It's immediate.
For them, it's immediate.
Yeah.
For Manchester City, it was a building process. And now it's the wheel.
Flowing,
the wheel is just moving. Liverpool, it's a process as well. It's just moving. Manchester United...
There's
It
no
was a
movement
process.
there. There's no movement.
The wheels came
It's a
off.
process.
The wheels came off.
The same you
My
look at
producer should not be hearing
the
me.
same with Barcelona. Barcelona is a motion, and it's moving all the time. Real Madrid is buy and win.
Yeah.
That type of team. So you got to understand where Pirates fill in there. And when I look at where they're moving, then I think they're more like a Real Madrid type of product. Whereas when you look at Mamelodi Sundowns, Mamelodi Sundowns, I can tell you when it started. When it really started.
You were there.
When it really started was with Kappa. Kappa was with Barcelona. Kappa coached, I think, Real Madrid, right?
Angelo.
Yeah. And Angelo Kappa, he was at Real Madrid, right? Or Barcelona?
Yeah, I think Real Madrid.
Was at Real Madrid. And he came in, he started it. Neil Tovey, Gamondi won the trophy. Myself and Gordon won it the next day. But the process started. The process started then. And pizza is just can follow the process. And that's why it is. And yes, they will have a slump. For how long? They have to go down somewhere. But for how long? It's the same like Barcelona. Barcelona have now gone in a little bit of dip. They will have a little bit of dip. It's
It
normal
happens.
football.
It's a
All right.
process.
Thank you, gentlemen. I mean, there's so much. We were going to discuss, of course, as Samoa Gianni is in India there. I don't know, playing cricket.
No. We can't be discussing
We were
Indian
going to
football.
discuss Chuba, Akpom.
No, those ones are proper. We need to
and
discuss.
also, of course, there was a story in Sudan where 12 players from Australia. But anyway, I'm sure next week we have more. We've come to the end of our show. And thanks to
We'll
you.
be
who
wishing
was
good luck
listening.
in anticipation of the bonus
And we
from
want to
winning
wish-
8 million.
Yes, Craig Eto'o, of course, playing that MTN final.
Guys.
And also we want to wish our coach and to
Yeah,
thank him as well.
yes.
We want to see you, coach, very
Definitely.
soon
We miss Coach,
to
man. We
do
miss
what
him.
you do best. Already the PSO misses you, I can
Yeah,
tell you,
Coach.
Craig Eto'o is
No,
there.
thank you.
But thank you for coming, coach. Really appreciate your time and sharing, your football knowledge and experiences with this crew of the football, of the FRUN football. Thanks to Velile Munyandu, Greg Eto'o, of course, and Timothy Batabaire. Thank you, gentlemen. Until we meet again, from me, Elasto Capoeja, say good night.